facts. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy Sober Tuesday. Happy Sober May 6th, 2025. Maybe it's Wednesday for you now. So happy Wednesday. Happy Y. Any day that ends with Y. How about that? All right. Oh, thought I'd pick a topic that was a little bit, one of the things that you hear in AA, but something we don't really talk about. Everything seems to be working again, so that's a good thing. I think it was just the setup itself, because I came back in. I tried it right after, and it worked just fine. I tell you something, though. I'm so tired of, I had a 2-second conversation with somebody or whatever. Why does every conversation need to be rated? Did people forget that no news is good news? Just like you go to Walmart with the self-checkout, and they're like, how did we do? Well, I did great. I did a great job. Everything needs to be rated. How did we do? Would you like to take a brief survey? No, I would not like to take a brief survey. I already spent an hour and a half waiting for you on the phone. I don't think I want to take a survey. Thanks. That customer service has just gone to shit. Now I just sound like an old man. Dagnabbit, these kids these days, they don't know what customer service is. I had a lot of customer service jobs. In fact, the voice that you hear most of the time is my customer service voice. This isn't my natural voice. I bring my tone up a little bit so that people are more willing to listen to me. This is my normal voice, and it's a lot deeper. A lot deeper. I do that on purpose. Something I was just discussing with my therapist. Good old therapy. And this topic came up. Hey, Leisure. And this topic came up because I was talking to her about ADHD, and I'm looking at getting that taken care of. I think it's going to help me with a lot of different things. I just can't seem to focus. I know it seems like I do really well here, but even here, I don't focus on the topic. Oftentimes I get off topic. I go, I know it's all right. Well, here you go. I know it doesn't sound any different. It isn't until I raise my voice. That's when people have a fucking problem with it. See? How about this one doesn't sound a little different? If it doesn't, then I'll go see a doctor. Yes, I would. Oh. Yeah, they just had me take the self-appointed test thing. Part of it is there's a few reasons why I don't want ADHD. It'll be the 5th mental illness that I have, and it's like another one. I have to deal with yet another thing. It just makes me feel even more fucked up. I don't want to have to explain it all again. I don't want to find some new psychologist, psychiatrist, doctor, or whatever. I don't want to have to explain it all again. I'm so tired of explaining myself when it comes to mental illnesses that it just gets old. There's a lot of things to repeat. So I talked to my therapist about it, and there's people in there. She works at Overcomers Counseling, and there was another person that was working there. She's a psychiatrist, and even while I was not on my Medicaid, this lady helped me get off my duloxetine. She prescribed it to me without seeing me or anything, and it's because she had all the notes that my therapist had put in there. So I didn't have to go back and explain everything. She could see that this was going on. And she helped me get off of them. Right. And I told my therapist, that's the person, if there's anybody there that I think can work with me, that's the person I want to work with, because I don't have to explain everything to her again. You know, and did a little bit of more digging, because I haven't really, the name Adderall just scares the fuck out of me. But once I find out that I don't have to take it every day, it's an as needed basis, then it becomes something a little different for me. Right? Because even though I didn't get addicted to drugs and things like that, that does not mean that I do not have an addictive personality. Right? And that's where this topic came up. I'm going to give you the short answer. Yes, you are sober. Yeah. Right. But I know a lot of people go into AA meetings and be careful what you discuss in AA meetings. If you don't want to be judged that you take other meds prescribed by doctors and you're taking it by doctors' orders and you're following the directions on the prescription, right? Because you're gonna hear about it. Oh, well, then you're not sober. Now, let me tell you something. That's usually coming from somebody who's a drug addict. Yeah, they're usually that's their drug addict mind. Ask your therapist about Strattera. Side effects may include. Welcome, Daily Trudge, Dion, host dude. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Good stuff. I thought there'd be more people here for this, but it's always hit or miss. Other drugs in AA meetings are outside issues. I would actually absolutely agree with that. Alcoholics not. So here's the thing. First, let me cover the difference between alcoholism and other addictions. Yep. There's a big fucking difference between the two. Here's the coin they gave me for speaking. I've got 2 of them now. Kind of hard to see. I'm gonna focus. Oh, not working. If I put it out here, you probably see it better, but then you can't see it. And if I do this, it's probably going to make me fade out. See, what this camera cannot handle is getting this in focus and me in focus at the same time. So maybe if I block everything else out. No. Crappy camera. So what's the difference? Well, alcoholism you're born with. I know it's a pretty bold statement, but it's been my experience. I mean, I could probably talk to you about a few things in your family life. That's just like codependency doesn't happen with the alcoholic. That person was codependent before they met the alcoholic. It was an attraction to something, right? And if you have a female codependent, that means that female was close to her father who was probably an alcoholic. If it was a man codependent, then their mother was probably an alcoholic. See, because my mom was an alcoholic, I also have codependency issues. It's about abandonment. If I protect them, they won't leave. Right. So alcoholism you're born with. You didn't have a choice. You're already an alcoholic. So alcoholism is a mental illness. Addiction usually has to do with some sort of trauma. Could be different types of trauma. Maybe somebody got into a car accident, broke their back, they were prescribed OxyContin. And since OxyContin is easily addictive, they're now addicted to OxyContin. I like the way it feels too, but that doesn't mean I want more of it. It didn't give me the same feeling. It didn't give me the same feeling that alcohol did. You know, I learned a lot about drugs when I was younger in Alateen. How I might be I might just be susceptible to different types of addiction. Yeah. Because I'm an alcoholic. So here's the biggest difference between alcoholism and all other addictions. Not everybody can be an alcoholic, no matter how hard you try. You cannot be an alcoholic and will yourself into alcoholism. May you had a stint with alcohol and overdid it. Got DUI, that was the end of it. You started drinking like a normal person. That is not alcoholism. But anyone, absolutely anyone in the world can be an addict. There's a big difference. Is the recovery different? Yeah, it kind of is. It is. Talking about arenas here, right? Can I help somebody else that's not an alcoholic look for God? Sure, I can. Sure, I can. But if I'm working with somebody and they are a drug addict and I'm an alcoholic, I'm going to have a pretty hard time getting them to be willing. I am. Because there are things that are going on with them that I have not experienced, that I do not understand. I don't know what heroin feels like. I don't know what it means to put a needle in my own arm. I don't know what it means to have to wear long sleeve shirts. I don't know what it means to be gang stalked or in a trap house. I don't know what it means to have the scars all over my... See, I don't know it. I have not been there. I could have enough empathy to be able to help them out, maybe help them find a person that's better suited, or, that's why detoxes need to have not just recovered alcoholics, but recovered drug addicts, recovered gamblers, recovered, detox doesn't get the gamblers and the porn addiction and all that other stuff. You don't get arrested for, you don't end up at detox for porn, because detox is about coming off the drugs. It is about detoxing. That's what it's for. Leisure says alcohol is a big time depressant. Yeah, it's the biggest depressant out there. Earlier, I was watching about a thing. They did a huge fentanyl bust, right? And they said that it is the biggest killer amongst people from the age of 19 to 35. And I don't agree. Alcohol is still the number one. I don't agree with that. I think their numbers are wrong. I'm not saying it isn't a big deal, but alcohol is probably the worst drug out there, and it's legal. It's killing more. Alcohol kills more people than anything else in this world. Including alcohol-related deaths, right? but that's not what we're really going for. But I kind of had to describe the difference between the two before we could even really talk about it. Right? Yeah. Now, what are some of the drugs that we alcoholics need to be careful of? Benzos. Benzos are a big one. That would include your opiates. And why are opiates dangerous? Why is lorazepam? Why is Ativan dangerous? I tell you now, the first time I was given Ativan, I thought I was drunk. It hits the same receptors as alcohol. That's why it's dangerous for us. Yeah. Right. It made me feel good. I love Ativan. That's the problem. All right. All right. So, first of all, let's see. Are you sober if you take medication? If you are currently participating in medical assisted treatment and not abusing opiates, you are sober. That is incorrect. Actually, not because they're on medical assisted treatment for opiates. It is because of this. What is the legal definition of sober? Not being under the influence of an intoxicating beverage. That's why. That's why it's wrong. Because, see, sober's for alcohol. Drugs are clean. Clean. Sober and clean are two different things. They're separated, right? What does AA consider sober? This is probably going to be wrong too, because it's from the careaddiction.com. It's generally accepted that sober means not drinking at all, completely abstaining from alcohol. And then they throw their, however, so you know, however is just a fancy way to say but. And when you say but, you canceled out everything you said before that. So I can already tell you that's going to say, however, if you meddle in these, and you might go back to, all right, and they're not incorrect in that. They just want to prove their point and get outside the scope of they're outside of the scope of the question at this point. However, truly being sober means more than not drinking alcohol. It is, I was wrong. I was a little wrong here. Being sober is about transforming your entire lifestyle, mindset, and behaviors to live a healthy, fulfilling life without the influence of substances. Now they did it. Okay. Now they did it. No, they crossed the line there. That's not true. I had to take antidepressants for years. I had to have Ativan on. I had to have it ready if I needed it. I would get anxiety attacks, and my blood pressure would be so high. If I didn't have Ativan around, I would have had a stroke. Now we're getting to something a little more dangerous here, aren't we? Right? Yes, we are. But we're talking about being sober, right? Ooh, all this rain, the bugs are coming inside. How do you prove you're sober? That's a stupid question. The first thing that you should do is request a blood or urine test. Is being sober only for alcohol? You know that somebody's gonna try and jump on this one. Being sober and relate, for some people, not drinking alcohol is their version of sobriety. Abstinence from alcohol is what they know as sober. They still smoke cigarettes, use marijuana or recreational drugs, and consider themselves sober. No, that's not. See, West Coast recovery centers. Oh, where would they be? Well, they'd be in California. Can you take NyQuil if you're in AA? No, you cannot. Now, the one with alcohol in it was to say, Avoid OTC meds that contain alcohol. All right. Anyway, none of that really matters. Okay. Some AA members must take and this is from AA. This one is from AA itself. Some AA members must take prescribed medications for serious medical problems. I do. Some of them even change how I feel, like depression. Well, how am I going to work the 12 steps? How am I going to live a fulfilling life if I'm fucking depressed all the time and I'm dead? However, it's generally accepted that the misuse of prescription medication and other drugs can threaten the achievement and maintenance of sobriety. And there we are. Be careful, right? Here's what the main thing comes down to. We are not doctors. We are not pharmacists. We are not therapists. We are not counselors. We are not psychotherapists. We are not psychologists. We're not psychiatrists. No. You know, it's often I hear somebody saying, I was talking to my sponsor and they said that I have to get off these meds. What the fuck is your problem? Did you know that some of these meds can really screw you up if you go off of them, especially if they're like an SSDI? I was on duloxetine. Okay. Hate that med. Hated it. And now, why was I on duloxetine? It was for severe depression. So what did I do? Because the key to being on these meds is to get off of them. In a lot of cases, like depression, bipolar, probably not a good idea to go off your meds. Not a good idea. Okay. So we got to be careful. We got to do it as prescribed because there can be a danger there. Okay. But there's a bigger danger. I hear people say it all the time. Non-alcoholic beer. You're more likely to relapse off of that than you are any of this medication. But then there are some people who will take anything just to make themselves feel better. Okay, now we're talking about cross addiction here. I'm talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm talking about being off the hooch. Here's the thing. Did duloxetine destroy my relationships? Did it make me feel like the loneliest fucking person in the world? Did it take my family? Did it take my job? Did it take everything? No, it did nothing of the sort. Nothing of the sort. Right? So when it came to my depression meds, the point was that I got on the meds, and what that did is it evened me out so that I could start working on my problems. So I worked on my problems, and then it was time to get off the med. It was time to get off the med. Do you have to be sober to be on antidepressants? It's probably better that you are. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but let's see what it says. And let's see who's saying it. Mayo Clinic. They're doctors. They get to say it. Alcohol can stop the benefits of your antidepressant medicine. Right? So, Leisure says, so every person at an AA meeting that walks out after the meeting and the first thing they do is light up a cigarette is not sober. To some people, that is correct. Here's another one. Caffeine. Caffeine's a drug. Coffee's a drug. Soda's a drug. No. What it comes down to mostly is perception. You know, but in AA, I really like that. The way that Leisure put it is, that's an outside issue, one that we don't deal with, because there's a lot of people in AA that never use drugs. Okay. The drug that if there was a drug that I liked, it was mushrooms. That was one that I liked. And even then, I can count how many times I did it on both hands, which is pretty good for an alcoholic. Cocaine, man. I had some friends at one point, and we introduced cocaine to what we were doing. It was like once a month. It was just a recreational, okay? And I hate to say this, but there's nothing really recreational about some of these drugs like cocaine and heroin and meth. Okay. And why is that? Because they are asymptomatic. That means sooner or later it's going to kill you. It could be the first time, it could be the 500th time, could be the 1000th time. But sooner or later it is asymptomatic, and bam, heart attack, and you're gone. Okay. That's what asymptomatic means. That could happen at any time. Okay. Especially nowadays with them putting fentanyl in everything. Right? Like weed. That's just the stupidest thing. Anyway. All right. So once a month we were doing it. Then it started turning into every weekend. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not big on, I mean, sure, I was able to talk more, but it's like you do a line of cocaine, you turn around and have a conversation, it's morning. And it was the one thing I hated. I did not like that. Then they showed up on a Wednesday. And I said, no, we're done. See, their addiction had started. I knew better. I knew the time would come when I would have to say that enough is enough. Okay, now we're on a weekday. Leisure says, yep, caffeine too. What people need to do in AA the most is work the program. That would exclude working other people's program. Yeah. Focus on yourself. You don't know what somebody else is going through. I mean, now I'm diagnosed, with 5 mental illnesses. You think I just can magically take care of those things? You think that's how that works? Wait until your trauma comes along. Because if you're an alcoholic, you have trauma. There's a good chance you have at least mild PTSD, social anxiety, some of these things. And if you don't take care of them now, my experience is then one day what's going to happen is you're going to be in King Supers and you're going to have your first panic attack, and it's going to get a lot more embarrassing. And it'll be a lot harder to deal with there. That's my experience. Because I didn't take care of it before. I thought I had. But there's parts in the big book where it's like, no, you didn't. Does sobriety refer to drugs? Well, here's the thing. Alcohol is a drug. Now we're talking about something a little different. See, people in NA, a lot of them do not drink alcohol because they consider it a drug also. So what it is when we use prescription drugs beyond their normal means, that is the problem. That is where therein lies the problem. Sobriety is a condition of not having any effects from alcohol and other drugs, according to Wikipedia. Sobriety is also considered to be on the natural state of human being at birth. A person in a state of sobriety is considered sober. Organizations of temperance movement have encouraged sobriety as being normative in society, right? So it goes on. Does sobriety include, does a sip of alcohol break sobriety? Yes, it does. Right? If you're wondering, does one drink break sobriety? Yes, it does. What's the Sinclair method? The technique is largely attributed to research John Sinclair. In this method, patients take opiate blockers, naltrexone, in a pill form an hour before drinking alcohol. So, naltrexone, which is the new drug on the market. It's the new Western medicine. At least with this one, unlike what we've had in the past. I'm trying to remember what it was called, but it was big in the 80s and 90s, right? Where you would take it, and if you drank, you would get violently ill. It even started killing people because they were drinking and nothing was happening. So they drank more and more and more, and they died from alcohol intoxication, overdose of alcohol. Yeah. Naltrexone, this new one, and what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to cut away your cravings. Now, what is this? Well, it's what we would call medical assistance, right? MAT is what it is called. You thought MAT was only for drugs. Nope. Medical assistant treatment is what it means. Okay. I'm actually a supporter. God, what was it called? I almost had it. And as soon as I say it, everybody's going to kind of remember it. People that are older anyway. So naltrexone does not make you violently ill. Now, so it blocks the opiate receptors. That means Ativan, lorazepam. It will bring down your heart rate, but you won't feel the effects. If you drink, you will not feel the effects, but you will still get a fucking hangover. It is supposed to help people with that overwhelming need to go drink. It helps with the physical cravings. What it does not do is remove the obsession for a drink. It does not do that. Only God can do that, in my experience. Heather says, and hi, Heather, good to see you. Wish I had been able to join in earlier. I was a process for me to take antidepressants as prescribed without sending me down a rabbit hole. Always felt the need to be my own prescriber. I get that. I mean, we do know our body's the best. Okay. And I wish my doctor would have never put me on duloxetine. They had me on 120 milligrams. The average is 40 because he kept upping it because I was going through pain. I had a lot of pain. And at this point, the whole Sackler shit thing was going on. So they weren't giving me any oxy, motherfuckers. Anyway, I'm kidding. So I was using it for my neck pain. I used to have a lot of neck pain from my anxiety. I don't have much neck pain now. It's gone because I went to therapy. I worked on my anxiety. I worked on my depression. I worked on my PTSD so that I didn't get triggered all the time. It wasn't like this, ready to fight all the time. That's where my neck pain was coming from. But getting off of them fucking sucked, especially when you're 7 years sober. There are some meds that regulate so that you can work on things. That's why they're there. That's why they are prescribed. Right? It's the abuse that comes with it. But I'm going to tell you something, and this might sound weird to other people, but I don't have an obsession for drugs. When it comes to drugs, I actually have willpower. I have a shit ton of willpower. When it comes to alcohol and opiates, so I guess I'm kind of wrong there. Remember, I love Ativan, but not like I liked alcohol. I mean, I felt the same way, but not quite the same. If that makes sense. Okay. Right. So the question is, if you take prescription drugs, are you sober? The answer is yes. Yes, you are. I don't know how many times it says in the big book that we are not doctors. And we now let's kind of get to the AA side of it, right? Nobody in the program has a right to tell you what the fuck to do, especially your sponsor. When I hear people say, my sponsor told me to get off those meds, I always want to just reach out to their sponsor and just I can slap them. The fuck's wrong with you? Well, they don't need to be on that shit. Shut up, boomer. Sorry. Leisure says, I was misprescribed and was drinking on my meds. That's how I found AA. I love ya, brother. But that's because you lied to them. They didn't misprescribe. They prescribed according to what you told them. All right. We're not honest when we drink. All right. But I don't know the whole situation. I'm making an assumption there. That's not cool of me. So I apologize for making that assumption, Leisure. My bad. See how easy it is to correct your mistakes? See, I was telling him what to do now. Just like the same people I wanted to slap around. Well, no wonder I want to slap them around because I'm doing it too. Right? We don't have a right to tell people that they shouldn't be on this or they shouldn't be on that. I understand that maybe you had your experience, okay? But just because I have a perception of it or an opinion of it doesn't make it correct. And where do I get off being WebMD? I don't get to do that. All right? No. Leisure says, yes, you were making an assumption, but yes, as an undiagnosed alcoholic, of course I was lying to them. Yeah. You didn't know how to be honest. I didn't. See, and there's the difference again. We're born liars. We are born dishonest. Drug addicts are not. They're turned into that because of some kind of trauma. So I'm going to do a little bit of repeating here, and then I'm going to wrap up. Not anybody can be an alcoholic. It is a DNA thing. That is my belief. And I have a lot of experience. It is my educated guess, and I'm correct. It's one of those things I will not budge on. Does that mean that, does that mean we have nature versus nurture? Oh, we got a new one. He can't even give us a good name. Try microdosing mushroom caplets. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, lupus, and anxiety, rheumatoid arthritis, depression, ADHD, PTSD. You were diagnosed with all those things, dude? Really? So I'm going to, all my friends, go to Bonnie Spores on Facebook and make sure that you rip them a new asshole for that. In fact, I'm going to click on the link here. It won't let me click on the actual link. Will it let me do it here? No. See, oh, bummer. But what I'm going to do is, let's see. What are we looking for? Bonnie Spores on his Facebook page. Oh, we're going to get in trouble. We're going to, dude, you should probably just go ahead and, let's see here. There is no Bonnie Spores. There's Boone Spores, which is a gaming commission. Don't worry, we'll follow you. Oh, Bonnie Spore. There it is. No, that's not right either. Anyway, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. I can block him on Facebook too. I'm just going to put him in the block list. There we go. All right. So not anyone can be an alcoholic, but anyone can be an addict. That's the biggest difference. And I don't know about anybody else. And I'm not saying that there aren't people in the program that aren't duly diagnosed. So there's a lot of alcoholic drug addicts. And I can see why. They were born an alcoholic. They also got into drugs, and they are legitimately addicted to those also. Absolutely. Okay. But if you're just a drug addict and come into AA, you don't really belong there. But AA's like the bitch. We're the bitch. Even right now, the Raleigh House, I heard this thing from Raleigh House that what they are doing is they are actually the alcoholics, the drug addicts, and the mental health issues are all in the same place. And they're using AA meetings for their mental health stuff. And you cannot do that. AA does not do mental health stuff. Quit making AA do your work, Raleigh House. In fact, maybe I'll call them next. Right. So now we got Bonnie. Oh, because I spelt it incorrectly. That's what it is. No, I didn't. Anyway, doesn't matter. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. Been a while since I had a microdosing dude come on here. All right. And feel free to let them know how you think. If Amber was here, she would have already. You don't have to, but, if you want to. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We got a meeting in 50 minutes, Grassroots. Please feel free to join us. Be happy to have you. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.